good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is when you're watching this. This is our Introduction to Area Studies group presentation, which we have decided to do on the Disney Pixar film Coco.
The rebellious Miguel, a Mexican boy who hopes to become a musician. Feel no one understands him because of his family continuous bans on all music, especially when his hero, the greatest guitar player who ever lived, the deceased Ernesto de la Cruz, the town's hero. However, on the sacred Day of the Dead, he breaks into Ernesto's mausoleum, but once he strums his guitar, he then being cursed and magically transported into a distant and bustling land of the dead. In the land of the dead, he must return to the land of the living before sunrise and receive a blessing from his member of his family. Imelda, his great-great-grandmother, offers Miguel a blessing on the condition of ending his dream of becoming a musician. He refused and ran away and resolved to seek Ernesto, his hero's blessing instead. On the street, Miguel meets Hector, who declares will help him to see Ernesto if they get to visit his daughter before he forgets Hector and causing him to disappear completely. After they won a series of talent competition to entry to Ernesto's mansion, Miguel's family track him down and force him to flee. Miguel sneaks in front of Ernesto, but Ernesto, jealous about Miguel's talent, robs him for passing his son off to his own to become more famous. After Miguel's family rescue him from Ernesto, Imelda and Hector bless Miguel so he can return home.
I would like to talk about how the countries featured in the film. It especially featured the Mexican culture and showed detailed things that has meaning behind it, so let's move to the next slide. The film is mainly centered on Dia de los Muertos, which is a Mexican culture festival that is celebrated on November 2nd each year, primarily in the central and southern regions of Mexico. And this festival is about remembering their family members and friends who have passed away. And in their culture, it is believed that the souls of the dead return to the living world to visit their family and to eat, drink, and be merry. On November 1st, which is All Saints' Day, current practice calls for the deceased children to be remembered with toys and colorful balloons adorning their graves. And the next day, which is All Souls' Day, adults who have died are honored with displays of the departed's favorite food and drinks, as well as personal belongings. Also, the candles on near the grave represents fire and are a light guiding them back to visit the land of the living. And the papel picado is a traditional tissue paper art that has variety of patterns and cutout designs of animated skeleton figures. They use it to decorate ofrendas, buildings, streets, and homes. They symbolize the wind and fragility of life. And also there is a dog named Dante who shows as sidekick of Coco. It's a Mexican breed of hairless dog, and dogs were believed to guide the ancestral spirits to their final resting place in the afterlife. And last but not least, the marigolds, which is shown as orange flower plant, is believed that only living plants in the land of the dead. In the movie, it described as a bridge that connects the two worlds, and when the filmmakers were doing preliminary research trips to Mexico, they learned that marigolds play a huge role in Dia de los Muertos, which is guiding the spirit of a loved one home.
Alright, so now I'm going to talk about the links to area studies within the movie Coco. So one thing that I want to point out is that this movie does what I like to call cultural consideration, not appropriation, because the movie was actually very well researched by the movie's creators. Pixar normally is very strict about keeping all their creativity behind closed doors. However, especially after an incident where they tried to trademark the phrase Dia de los Muertos, to much controversy, they decided that it would be better to go out and actually make sure that the cultural aspects of the film were shown correctly, that they weren't simply playing to stereotypes or making assumptions, that they were trying to make it as culturally accurate as they could, which even meant going out and interviewing several different people and whatnot, which actually is very well done. Some aspects were simplified, however, this mainly, is because Coco was meant to be a kids' movie, and if things are a little too complex or hard to understand, it kind of turns away the audience and doesn't make for a very good movie in terms of marketing. However, as I said, it doesn't play to stereotypes, and it instead chooses to focus on accuracy, which is something that is seemingly uncommon in Hollywood. A lot of times, for example, when one hears of Orientalism, they might think of either stereotypically Chinese or stereotypically Japanese cultural aspects that you might see both in any given movie. And whereas for this, they could have played off of stereotypical Latin American things, such as maybe samba music, or even just Dia de los Muertos in general, or several other things they could have chosen to go stereotypically. However, they chose to make it as culturally accurate as possible and try to show the cultural aspects in a way that tries to better enlighten and educate in a way that's fun and entertaining, but without, as I would say, cramming it down your throat and constantly reminding you, hey, this is different. Look how different this is. Look how not like your own culture this is. It just tells the story with the cultural aspects just naturally part of the story, which I personally think is very well executed, and compared to other movies, is much better in that regard, because it chooses not to just go off of stereotypes, or like, for example, with Orientalism and other movies, this chooses not to do that, which I personally greatly appreciate, and think that more movies should do this, because you can still tell your story without having to make the cultural aspects completely separate. You can have it just naturally part of the story. And with that, our presentation has come to an end. Thank you for watching and or listening, and hopefully we were able to be somewhat educational for you.